Live from Kansas City, it's Comic Book Late Night with Captain Logan. Featuring thoughts on comic news, obscure character of the week, and a little something from the comic vault. And now, here's your host, Captain Logan!
Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan and welcome once again to Comic Book Late Night. Tonight, we've got a fantastic show for you. We're extremely excited. We have JT Krull on the show, the writer of Green Arrow, but also Captain Atom and the upcoming Superman Beyond series. We're going to talk to him later on for a full half hour. Very exciting. Right now, I'd like to introduce my guest co-host. It's the amazing Lucas Irvin. Say hello, Luke.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Tim is out tonight, and Luke is filling in. Luke is a local stand-up comic, a really fun guy, big pop culture crazy dude, and we're going to be having a good time. So here we go. You might be wondering what this is. Well, this is my brand new General Zod robe. That's right. It's my General... Let's see if you can see the back of this. It's my General... Yeah, isn't it cool? It's my General Zod robe. I just went to Planet ComiCon over the weekend, the big Kansas City comic book convention that we have every year, and got some really cool stuff. I'm going to show you some of that later, but I wanted to show off the awesome General Zod robe, and just so that we could make sure and get equal parts DC and Marvel. I've got some Marvel. So see, there's some... You get DC, and then you get more. Okay. Let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? It's time once again for a brand new edition of Know Your Batmobiles. Here is today's Batmobile. Do you think it's from 1999, from 2003, or 2005? And of course, I'll come back at the end of the show and tell you the year for that Batmobile. Be noodling it. Here is today's trivia question. Today's trivia question is... Who was the second Green Arrow, Oliver Queen's son, who took up his mantle in 1994? If you think you know, go ahead, live folks, and put that in the comments right now. Whoever gets it first, we'll mention at the end of the show. Lucas is going to write that down as soon as he sees the correct answer. It looks like he's got it. Well done to you. So, now, Luke...
What's up?
I'm trying to think. We got a few different things we could do at this moment. I think what we're going to do... Yeah, I think it's time for some food.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, tonight we're going to be eating some Betty Crocker Superman fruit snacks.
Nice.
Yes, indeed. That's what we're going to munch on tonight. We like to munch on things in this show. And while we're munching on these wonderful fruit snacks... Actually, before we do that, let's see what kind of fruit snacks we have, shall we? It looks like crunched upness... No, looks like there's a Daily Planet, and it looks like there's a Superman head. Now, see, that's kind of wrong, isn't it? That the green one is not kryptonite? It just doesn't seem right to me. I don't like that. And then the rest of these look kind of smushed. Some smushed Superman-ness. While we're eating our fruit snacks, why don't you watch the video of the week? Today's video of the week is from College Humor, and it's the realistic superhero funeral. This was put out at the end of last year. I think it's quite funny, and here it comes right now.
Friends, we gather here today to mourn the passing of Alpha Man, Earth's mightiest hero, who was tragically slain last week by his archenemy, Rex Ruthless.
Pretty impressive turnout for a sixth funeral. I hope this goes quicker than the last five. I've got a date later with Limber Lass. You wanna know why they call her that? Limber Lass?
Would you please show some respect? I was his sidekick, and now he's gone forever.
Gone forever, sure. Anyway, it's because of the way she can bend her...
Alpha Man seemed invincible. We all remember when it looked like he had been killed while saving us from that supernova. Or when he died defending the Earth from laser tigers. Or that time he fell into that open sewer grate and contracted sentient hepatitis. Each time, no matter how certain his demise, Alpha Man was back a few weeks later, the status quo miraculously restored.
Ugh, I can't believe anyone expects us to take this seriously anymore.
Please, just let me grieve.
Excuse me, hi. Has anyone else here noticed the most popular superheroes never stay dead? It's like they're favored by the gods or something.
Don't look at me.
You there, Black Eagle.
It's just Eagle, actually.
Remember the first time Alpha Man died? How long did that last?
About a month. Then he was resurrected by that magic lightning.
See, the next time he died, he was cloned back to life, then he was injected with ghost serum, and then a wizard reanimated his body.
Ah, but this time we couldn't find the body.
What? How do you even know he's dead?
Because we have an eyewitness that saw the death firsthand.
Well, I smelled it. It's basically the same thing.
Look, I just think the city is wasting a lot of time and money on these constant funerals. If you would just wait, I'm sure Alpha Man will come flying back through a wormhole or something stupid like,
Look, there he is!
Funerals that make me so happy. Me eyes am dry.
We can all agree with your touching words, Bizarro Alpha Man. That's why I've reallocated our entire public school budget to build this new memorial honoring our fallen hero. Father Lee, would you say a few words?
The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, and occasionally the Lord doth retcon matters to simplify over-complex continuity.
Sorry I'm late, Mayor.
and there it is. See ya.
Alpha Man, you're alive! But how?
Isn't it obvious? Rex's ruthless laser ray sent me through time to this very moment. Come now, Beta Boy, there's no time to lose.
I think he's dead.
Dead? You mean he's lost in time?
Nope, stone dead.
Cosmic hibernation?
Deceased.
Frozen in polar ice.
His neck's broken.
Oh.
And
All right, it's time now to go to the fan art for the week. Luke, are you ready?
Yes,
are you
we
excited about the fan art for the week? Well, you should be, because it's awesome. Oh, no, not that. That's later. No, that's a different thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's not fan art. That's real art.
My bad.
I'm kidding. Not that fan art is not real art. All right, today's fan art is by... Let me get this up here. Rayzilla on fanpop.com. I found this one. It wasn't sent to me, but I thought it was too awesome not to share. It's Venom possessing Mario. Yes, indeed. How cool is that? I especially like his hat. I like how it's not an M, but rather the Venom symbol kind of on his hat. It's very
Looks like
funny.
a Jersey Shore reject.
Luke, as I mentioned earlier, I went to Planet Comic-Con over the weekend, and I thought I would show off some of the cool stuff I got at Planet Comic-Con. First of all, here are some signatures that I picked up. I met lots of cool folks, set up some interviews with a few of them, and the first thing I wanted to show is Arthur Sadom. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Arthur Sadom does all the variant zombie covers as well as all the Marvel Zombie stuff, and so I got him to sign my my Marvel Zombies #1, but also my Tick 20th anniversary special, and
Very
which
cool.
is Zombie Tick, and then I met Michael Golden, and Michael Golden is planning on coming on the show. Michael Golden, if you don't know, is the guy who wrote Micronauts back in the day. He also co-created Rogue, and he's been doing these Spawn covers lately. And I think he told me he's doing them up to like 219. And here is Spawn number 210, and he signed that for me. His signature is... It's hard to make out because
Really?
because it's on the black. But anyway, and then I talked to Dan Panosian, and Dan Panosian's going to be on the show. He's done some X-Men, and he also was doing a lot of inking back in the 90s, and so I had him sign my Spawn number 18 because he inked that last Spawn that weekend. And then I talked to Joe Staton, and he did some stuff back in the 70s and 80s mostly, I believe. Here is a Green Lantern Corps that he signed for me, and also a Huntress. See, what I did is I looked at the guest list, and then I've got a database of all my comics that I can search by writer and artist and everything, and so I just pumped everybody's names into that, and then went up into my comic book vault, and then I pulled everything that I had that some of these folks had worked on and had them sign stuff. And it was
That's a
kind
smart
of fun.
decision.
And finally, the big exciting thing is I got to meet Jason Aaron. Jason Aaron, if you don't know, by the way, lives in the area. Jason Aaron lives out here in Kansas City. He's going to be at... quick plug, he's going to be at Elite Comics out here in Kansas City for Free Comic Book Day, and he's co-writing Avengers Vs X-Men, of course, and so anyway, that's what he gave me about that. He's going to be there for that, and he signed Schism and Incredible Hulk #1 for me. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is planning on doing an interview with us sometime down the road. He's too busy at the moment, he said, but he absolutely was interested. That's going to happen. And Luke, I don't know if you know anything about Jason Aaron, but that's a really big deal. He's one of the biggest Marvel guys right now.
That is fantastic.
So to get the chance to talk to him is going to be really, really fun. And he was extremely personable. It was really nice to get to meet him. So that was a lot of fun. I also, you can give me that drawing that I gave you. Also by Arthur Sudam, the guy who did the zombie covers. I got this print of Batman vs. Predator. He did some of the Batman vs. Predator, and I couldn't pass it up, so I bought that. I also wanted to show some pictures of some of the cosplayers that I saw. Now, I saw lots more awesome things, including the most amazing War Machine costume, and I wish that I had gotten a picture of that. I didn't, but it was neat. It was this giant War Machine costume, and the guy had a radio built into it, and so he was like playing music while he was walking around the crowd. It was really cool.
Really?
But here are some of the neatest things I saw. This was a Mojo Jojo costume. This amazing Mojo Jojo costume. The mouth moved. When he talked, his mouth moved. It was amazing. I also got a picture of a guy being one of the henchmen from Spaceballs. That was pretty awesome.
That's cool.
Here's the new Harley Quinn costume. And I'm not a big fan of the new Harley Quinn costume, but I was really impressed with how she put this together. This lady is a major cosplayer. You can see her table. I think she sells a lot of costume pieces. A lot of costume pieces and things like that. And she told me that costume cost her $600 to put together. It's quite the costume. And then here's a Wolverine, which was quite good. And finally, you know what? Okay, I will pull up the other one a little bit later. There was I have a really awesome one. I'm not even going to tell you who it is. I'll find it. It didn't get in my stuff down here, and I don't know why. But I'll show it to you later because it's too awesome to mention without showing it to you. But also, here was a Predator costume, really sweet. I didn't get a picture of Batman talking to Predator, unfortunately, but my wife and kid ran off at one point while I was talking to creators, and Sarah was like, "Oh, I really wish that I had the camera because Jason got to see Batman talking with Predator." So that was pretty neat. But anyway, it was quite the show. Had a really fantastic time there, and looking forward to it again next year. They get the best guests. Also, they had such a huge turnout this year, and they had so many vendors that they're going to need a bigger venue for it. It's too big even for the building they're using for it right now, which is one of the Kansas City Convention Centers. I don't know what they're going to find bigger, but like it was super crowded. It was hard to move anywhere at that con. Okay, and now it's time for something completely different.
Yay!
Now we're gonna do something we've never done before. It's time for the sudden unannounced giveaway. Da da da! Sudden unannounced giveaway. It's so unannounced I don't have theme music for it. Today I'm going to give away a signed copy of Supergirl #1 from 1994. I'm going to give this away to somebody. This was signed by Jackson Geis, and I'm going to give this away to somebody right now.
Wow.
You're watching the chat?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we go. Here's the question. If you've been following the channel very well lately, you may know the answer to this question. It was featured on one video, I announced it, and I also mentioned it on Twitter the other day. The question is, next month, April, is going to be a theme month for a particular character. I'm going to do lots and lots of videos devoted to one particular comic book character, and the question is, who is it? What character gets the theme month for next month? If you know, write it down right now in the comments. Whoever knows it first, whoever gets it right, is getting this snazzy copy of Supergirl #1 signed by Jackson Geis. Anybody got it yet? Who's got it, dude? Let me know.
Say, Sid Part 2.
Sid Part 2. Awesome. Well done, sir. Sid Part 2. Next month is Tick Month. Yes, indeed. We're going to be doing Tick Month next month. I'm going to do lots of Vault. I'm going to do lots of vaults on Tick Comics. I'm going to review as many Tick Comics as possible. I have the majority of them, so I'm going to run through a lot of the trades and single issues. I'm also going to do two superhero rewinds devoted to the Tick. I'm going to review... I'm not even going to tell you all the other stuff. I'm going to do lots of other Tick things. So anyway, that's going to be all kinds of fun. And now it's time to go on to the news. All right, people have been asking me about this all week long, so I figured we better go ahead and start off with it. The whole Michael Bay Ninja Turtles debacle. Let's go ahead and talk about that right now. Have you heard about this?
I actually have.
Okay, so basically, for those of you that have been living under a Ninja Turtle-less rock, what's been going on is Michael Bay came out about a week and a half ago now, I think, and said that the new Ninja Turtles film, the multi-bazillion-dollar movie he's making,
Of course.
is going to have the Ninja Turtles coming from an alien race. That's what he says. And a lot of people went crazy about this. You had people tweeting and Facebooking and YouTubing and everywhere it was, oh God, he's ruining Ninja Turtles. We got a new piece of news just this last week that now we have a definitive title for the film, which is simply Ninja Turtles, without the Teenage and the Mutant attached to it. And people are all up in arms about that as well, because they're like, oh, see, he took Mutant out of it, so they're just going to be aliens. Now, Michael Bay came back later and said, well, please, nobody freak out, because you don't really know what we're doing, and it's not what you think. And he also said, Eastman is very involved in the project, so nobody freak out. I'm on the fence about it. I think that people have kind of blown it out of proportion.
Okay.
Because we just don't know very much yet.
That's true.
He said they're coming from an alien race. Now, one argument I heard, and I don't think that this has anything to do with anything, but this just proves the point that we don't really know anything. One argument that one person said was, well, in some continuities with turtles, the ooze that created the turtles came from the Utroms. And that's an alien race. So in that sense, they came from an alien race, you see. Now, again, I doubt that that's how they're doing it. And if that is how they're doing it, why would that be the thing you'd mention?
Yeah.
Maybe he's going for something a little bit bigger. I mean, he did say, hold on, just wait. But
Honestly, I've heard a lot of people talking about this, and most of the people I've heard talk about this, a lot of negative criticisms.
Yeah, exactly. And my point is, we don't know anything. We just don't know enough. I can't remember his name, but the guy who voiced the original Michelangelo went on Twitter and just freaked out about it.
Really?
Yeah, and I just think it's all very interesting. I've got two things, one of which makes this feel better to me and one which makes it feel worse. The first is Michael Bay's not directing the film, he's just producing it. And with Michael Bay not directing it, there's a good chance it might actually have story. Now, it might not be good story, but there will probably be a story in the film somewhere that may not be the most convoluted mess you've ever seen.
Right.
However, at the same time, the person who is directing it is Jonathan Liebsman, who directed Battle Los Angeles and is directing Wrath of the Titans. And so it's being directed by somebody who makes Michael Bay-esque films.
All right.
So, I don't know. I'm not freaking out about the alien thing. I just don't think that there should be especially because Eastman has gone on record to say it's going to fit very much into the Turtles that you always knew, and that the characters are not going to be changed. They're going to be who you remember. And they're still teenagers. Even though they took teenager out of the title, they claim that they're not going to be like 30-year-old Ninja Turtles or anything crazy like that. So, I'm just thinking it has a chance at being okay. I just think that we don't need a multi-million-dollar Ninja Turtles film. That's my thing.
I was going to ask you,
Do you think maybe they're past their time in terms of doing movies?
Oh, I don't think they're past their time in doing films.
Okay.
I think that there's definitely still turtle stuff to. If the current IDW comic book series is of any indication, which at first I thought was kind of slow going, and as it's gone on, I thought that it's a reboot kind of thing, and the way they've changed the origin is very interesting. It's extremely. It's very different, but it's very interesting. And I'm just saying that I think that there are new things to do with it, even going back from scratch and changing the origin a bit. Yeah. I just think that it's a little counterintuitive to take a book that started as a big indie comic and make a film that's as big as the Transformers films. Okay. Things like that, giving it that much money. It seems counterintuitive to me.
If I may ask you, if you had a choice of a director, who would you pick?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Not sure?
I'm not sure. My thing is, I don't even really want another live-action Turtles film. I don't think you're going to beat the original.
I agree. Absolutely.
I really don't. I'm just not sure what the point of doing that is. I would be fine with more animation and things like that. But anyway. So, moving right along, The Dark Knight Rises is, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but the Dark Knight Rises is going to be advertised on Mountain Dew boxes. So for people who collect those sorts of things, there's that. The next bit of news, the new costume for CW's Arrow series starring Stephen Amell. We've gotten the look at the new costume. I think it looks pretty cool. It looks like kind of a cross to me between the Smallville version and some of the comic versions. So looks all right so far. Seems like they're going for kind of a darker premise with it. Naturally. I still don't understand why CW is so against doing spin-offs of Smallville. As many problems as I have with Smallville, I think it had characters that could have been spun off. They did this when they greenlit that pilot for the Aquaman series that never actually went to series, where a lot of people were up in arms. Where they were like, well, why wouldn't you just make it a spin-off of that show? You've already got it. You've already got that character there. People might enjoy seeing that spun off. As it was, that was Justin Hartley, and it was a really good pilot. And ironically, Justin Hartley is the guy who played Green Arrow in Smallville, and he's not getting this pilot. And I don't think that's fair. I think that he did an excellent job in Smallville.
Really?
I had a lot of problems with the character, but I really liked Justin Hartley in the role. And I think that if you spun it off and made it its own thing and got it away from the Smallville mentality, it could have been a great series. But anyway, I'm still going to watch it. I hope it's good. Next bit of news. What's interesting about this one is that this is not really news so much as something that nobody knew about. The original prints from the 1994 Fantastic Four film that never saw the light of day and never went to theaters has been destroyed, and it was apparently destroyed all the way back when Fox first got the rights to the franchise. Basically, what happened was I saw this on a message board the other day. Somebody. And actually, I want to credit the person, but I can't remember who it was. I forgot to write it down. One of our viewers sent me this, so thanks to you. Sorry that I don't remember who it was. I should have written that down. But anyway, there was a guy who was trying to get the rights to the DVD, and the people who made the movie told him, sorry, you can't because Fox destroyed it. So that's kind of sad. So the only way anybody can see it now is with the crappy bootlegs that are running around. So anyway, I think that's kind of interesting. I don't understand why they felt the need to destroy it. The guy who wrote about it was like, well, they just didn't like it, so they destroyed it. All right, anyway. Next up, the Man of Steel logo was revealed, I want to say yesterday or today. This is brand spanking news. Brand spanking new news. I think it looks pretty cool. What do you think, Luke?
It looks beautiful. I like it.
I'm pretty happy with it. It's very, very clear that they're going the Batman Begins, Dark Knight direction with this. Trying to make it look, really sharp and edgy. And
absolutely,
I think it looks pretty cool as a logo. I'm not sure I really buy that. That's what an alien race would come up with for their family's crest. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a little bit strange. But just like they're just being they're just trying to be all edgy and cool. They're like, someday somebody is going to make a major blockbuster movie out of this, and Christopher Nolan is going to be involved, and we have to make sure anyway. So that's that. I think it looks pretty cool. Moving right along, there's going to be a Resurrection Man crossover soon with Suicide Squad, just in case anybody's reading both of those or reading one and not the other and wants to know about it. I think it's kind of neat that Suicide Squad is going to be going after Resurrection Man, considering that, they go around trying to kill people and Resurrection Man can't die. So that should be fun. I'm kind of looking forward to that. Here's a fun poster that Lego just put out. In conjunction with the Avengers, here's the Lego Avengers poster. Lego is going to be apparently making some sets that have to do with Avengers, and so they made their own Avengers poster.
That is so cool.
I think it's kind of fun. I hope that it gets a video game sometime down the line. Here is the teaser poster for Beware the Batman. This is the new animated series that's going to be coming out. I want to say next year. It's going to be a computer animated movie, and if you don't know anything about it, I'll go ahead and read you this real quick, just for those of you that aren't aware of it. Here is kind of Warner Brothers big plug for this movie or for this show, and I will say before I read this that a lot of people are really not excited about the show. I'm not extremely real interested in it either, but here's what they say it is. It says, a cool new take on the classic Dark Knight franchise. Beware the Batman incorporates Batman's core characters with a rogues gallery of new villains not previously seen in animated form. So it's like their whole point is, let's just do people that haven't been done before. Sometimes there's a reason for that.
Right.
Along with backup from ex-secret agent Alfred and lethal swordstress Katana. So now a bunch of people that never knew who that was are going to find out about her. The Dark Knight faces the twisted machinations of Gotham City's criminal underworld, led by the likes of Anarchy, Professor Pig, Mr. Toad, and Magpie. Produced by Warner Brothers Animation, this action-packed detective thriller deftly redefines what we have come to know as a Batman show, featuring cutting-edge CGI visuals to match the intricate twists and turns of the narrative. Batman steps out of the shadows and into the spotlight for an entirely new generation of fans, with WBA's Sam Register executive producing and Batman Beyond's Glenn Murakami and Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated's Mitch Watson producing. That is kind of cool, by the way. Beware the Batman, based on characters from DC Comics, is coming soon to Cartoon Network. So anyway, that's what's happening with it. What I don't like is that they're making a big deal out of, we must reinvent Batman again. Well, Batman's been reinvented in cartoon form multiple times, even prior to the animated series that we all know and love. Nobody's made a show better than that yet. People have managed to make with Brave and the Bold a show that was really cool, just very different. This, it seems like they're trying too hard to just do the thing that's never been done before, but we'll see. It could be good. Who knows? I don't want to unobjectively come right out and say, oh God, it's going to be terrible. But signs don't point to yes. But I like to be pleasantly surprised in things like this.
Yeah.
Just real quick, Avengers Vs X-Men number 0 sold out first day.
This is the first. Whoa.
It's doing super well. Now remember, of course, that if a comic book sells out at Diamond, the distributor for comic books, that only means that all the comic book stores and all the retailers bought it. Not that there necessarily aren't still copies available at stores. So you can still go out and get this. But I just wanted to mention that it's already getting really excited, and I gotta tell you, I read it and I didn't really. I wasn't real enthused about this arc, about this event, and now I'm kind of excited about it now. I really enjoyed it. And the last thing is the vague Marvel teaser, Spider-Man. We don't really know anything about this yet. If anybody knows anything more than I do about this, let me know. Somebody asked me about this last week on Ask Captain Logan, and they said, what do you think of this Spider-Man thing? And I said, what are you talking about? And there was one teaser poster. This is the second one. I would assume it's probably going to be like okay, my guess is it's either a multiple reality thing, or it's going to be kind of like Batman Incorporated, maybe, where they have a bunch of different people wearing Spider-Man costumes. After all, we just had Scarlet Spider start, so it could have something to do with that. Who knows? I don't know. Anyway, that's all we know. We have a teaser poster. It comes out in June. Whatever. Who knows? So today's poll is: do you think the Michael Bay-produced Ninja Turtles movie might still be good? Do you think this movie might not suck? Right now, if you're watching live, in the comments, go ahead and write down your answer to this. Yes or no. Just a straight yes or no. And when we get finished with the review portion of the show, we'll come back and tell you the results of the poll. I'm going to keep going with the show, and Luke's going to go ahead and take care of the results of that for us. Today's cover of the week is Daredevil number 10. This was a wonderful comic. It's a beautiful cover. Really creepy stuff going on in this issue with Daredevil versus Mole Man. Mole Man stealing all of these graves, stealing he's stealing whole graves. Stealing all these dead bodies, trying to find one specific one, and one of the bodies he steals happens to be Matt Murdock's father. It's a very personal story. It's a very scary, creepy kind of story, and I was very impressed with it. The cover tells you everything you need to know. It's great stuff. And now it's time for tweet reviews. Time for 140 character reviews of everything I read in the past 2 weeks. And here we go. All right, first up, we've got Batman Beyond Unlimited number 2. Exciting developments. Welcome character returns. Dynamite art from Brayfogle and Nguyen. 4 out of 4. Fantastic issue. And I'm not just saying that because I've interviewed Beecha and I really liked it. Amazing Spider-Man number 682. Fascinating Doc Ock plot. Great unexpected predicament for Peter. Caselli is the artist for this book. 3.5 out of 4. And man, I hope they keep him around. He's fantastic. Supergirl number 7, such a satisfying conclusion for this arc. Supergirl, the Supergirl-Reign rivalry is compelling. Most dynamic art so far, 3.5 out of 4. This book is not getting nearly enough press, not nearly enough people still talking about it. It's a great book. Everybody should be reading that. Ghostbusters number 7, excellent look into Ray's personality as he goes up against a demon in his head. Good mix of creepy and funny, 3.5 out of 4. And Daredevil number 10, cover for the week. Gripping tale with a terrifyingly morbid situation. Deep look at how we view death and bodies. Such fresh storytelling, 4 out of 4. Then we go to Batman number 7 by Scott Snyder. Incredibly interesting revelations for Dick. Love the tense moment with he and Bruce. Really exciting cliffhanger, 3.5 out of 4. Really glad to see him writing Dick Grayson again, by the way. Then we go to, once again, Avengers Vs X-Men number 0. Good setup for Hope and Scarlet Witch. Art is colorful and fun. Great mix of drama and fun comic action. I wasn't excited, now I am. 3.5 out of 4. And then we've got Star Trek number 7. Better and more exciting writing than the first 3 arcs. Intriguing cliffhanger. I'm not sure about the mention of a Vulcan Empire. 2.5 out of 4. And now let's jump over to Ask Captain Logan. For the next 5 minutes, I'm going to take your questions and ask me anything about comics, anything about superheroes, anything about the news that we just dealt with, anything like that. Let's do a little bit of fun audience participation, shall we? And while we start racking up the questions for that, I am going to drink things and eat more fruit snacks.
Put down the yoo-hoo.
That's different. All right.
All right, well.
Got anything for me, dude? I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
You got anything for me?
Zazabar asks, favorite episode of Batman Beyond Cap?
Oh, boy. I gotta tell you, I wish I knew that series better than I do. I've seen almost all of it, but I don't know it by episode title. I'm kind of with what Adam Beechin said when I asked him that. The Justice League episode that went back to Batman Beyond, I think, is maybe one of the best things they did. Although I gotta be honest with you, I think it's got a fantastic pilot. Nothing in particular jumps to mind. I need to go back and watch the series again, guys. It's been years.
Huh.
All right.
Let's see. Next one.
What else we got?
Let's see. Do you think we were spoiled by Batman TAS?
Somebody sent me that question today. I'm gonna quit eating these. Somebody sent me that question today, and I think Vince and I might actually do a whole show on it. But yeah, in a way, I'm glad it happened. I just wish that it was enticing people to make more things like it. It seems like we've been more getting like further and further away from that kind of storytelling. It's like we're back to where things either have to be a show totally for kids or totally for adults. I just feel like we've kind of gone back to that in a way.
Yeah.
And then when you have shows that are just for kids, a lot of the time I think that they're like, you know, kind of gross or uninteresting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like it's not even something that I would let my kid watch. But I don't know. I'm not going to throw out any particular titles. But I don't know. I can see why you would say that. I just wish that it was enticing people to do more things like it. All right, go ahead.
Okay, your next one. This may be difficult for you to answer. Too Good to Be True asks, what is your favorite original Star Trek episode?
Mirror Mirror. Mirror all the way. Yeah, mirror on my wall. No, I love Mirror. I think that it's one of the most interesting things that the series did. I think that it's one of Leonard Nimoy's best episodes, having to do something so different from what he usually does, but still making that character very clearly Spock. And then when you get to the end of it, and Kirk kind of plants the seed for the Mirror Universe to go in a different direction, because Spock is still pretty much Spock. It's just that he lives in the universe that he lives in, and he has to survive in it. And so it hasn't even come to him before that. Logically, there's another direction we could go. I think that it's both its darkest episode and in some ways its most optimistic episode. So yeah.
Huh. Let's see. Here's another interesting one by Movie Geek 17. Are crossover events here to stay, or will they eventually die out?
That's a great question. So far, it's kind of all over the place. We get major ones every year. They always sell out. They always have the biggest numbers of the year. So until that stops happening, I don't see successful comics without it later on. At least so far, I really don't. But the whole having to have an event like every single year thing has only been going on for a few years now, so it is very difficult to say. My question is, when comics get, and this is a question that I can't answer, when comics get more popular digitally, if that ever happens to where, and I would imagine maybe eventually it will, where either, I've always said that, but where either people are reading digital or they're buying in trade but not really buying single issues. My question is, will we still have the giant mega events when that happens? Because it seems like the event thing is around to get people committed to a book for a certain amount of time. They're 6 issues, they're 12 issues, they come out twice a month, they come out once a month for a whole year, not a whole year, but for a few months, that sort of thing. That gets people to keep coming back for more. Now, will that happen with digital comics? That's my question. I don't know. I think the whole thing is very interesting. It's very hard to predict right now. The market is so all over the place. It's so different than it used to be. It's really hard to predict. How about a couple more?
Okay. Josh W0071 asks,
do
you think we need a PG-13 superhero cartoon show like Under the Red Hood, the Under the Red Hood show?
I don't think we need one, but I think that it would be welcome if it was done really well. We've got, although I will say that with things like the new Green Lantern show, which I've not seen much of, but heard great things about, I think that we do have the ability, without making a big deal out of PG-13, to do adult type storytelling, without having a big teen rating. We did it with first of all, we did it with Batman the Animated Series, but these days you can get away with a lot more than you could back then. I think that even without having a big teen thing on it, you can still, these days, more readily get away with, say, killing a character off as long as it's not violently done on screen in a way you couldn't really do that as much back in the 90s. So
they would really have to tread that line.
Yeah, and it's a tough line to tread. It's hard to tell what the censors would do with something like that even now. So
absolutely.
One more.
Okay, we're going to go with Senior Nerd 2814. What do you think about the Dark Shadows trailer?
I haven't seen it. I've not seen it yet.
You want to do another one?
Give me one more, sure. Yeah, right. I'll see if I can see it and maybe mention it next time. I just haven't seen it yet. Wait a minute. Dark Shadows. That's the new Tim Burton film. Yes, I did see a trailer for that. It looks ridiculous. Here's the thing. Dark Shadows is a show that I never watched. Tim Burton, as far as I can tell, is doing something kind of totally different with it. But again, I don't know much about the show. I just know some people that were fans of it. It's another Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter movie. I mean, we've seen him do a million of these things.
You say Tim Burton, I already know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we know what we're all getting into on that one. It looks more farcical than his movies usually are, and none of the jokes in the trailer made me laugh. So hopefully it's one of those things where they actually put all the bad jokes in the trailer, as opposed to they put all the good jokes in the trailer, and then you go see it and it's really bad. Yeah.
The sizzle reel is up. You want to? Here's one.
I'm going back on it. Let's do one more. Let's do one more, and then we'll jump to the next part. Go ahead.
All right. Comics Kid 2020. I'm sorry.
Comics Kid. No, we know who Comics Kid is. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Favorite non-superhero TV series.
Favorite non-superhero TV show besides Star Trek. Star Trek. Well, I'll throw out some of my very favorites. It's Star Trek. It's Lost.
There you go.
It's I'm sorry, but it's The Tick. I love The Tick.
Yeah.
I'm a big Buffy Angel fan. So that's another one.
You mind if I answer that too?
Sure, go ahead.
I am a huge fan of Lost, Breaking Bad, and The Muppet Show. So there we go.
Oh, you and your Muppet Show.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, it's time now to go on to the interview. Tonight, I'm showing an interview where I spoke with JT Krull. Once again, JT Krull has been writing Green Arrow for a couple years now, and he's just about to get off that book so that he can write Superman Beyond, along with the good folks doing Batman Beyond Unlimited, Adam Beechin, Dustin Nguyen, Norm Brayfogle, all those folks. And he and I talked for a good long time. He's got a lot of really great insight. I hope you guys really enjoy the interview. So here we go. Time now for the comic book grill.
Now, is that going on right now?
1 second. everybody, this is Captain Logan, and I'm here with the very talented JT Krull.
Good evening.
JT, thanks very much for being on the program. Before we jump into the comic grill, first thing I'd like to ask you is how you got involved with the Beyond universe, since you're going to be writing Superman Beyond, and how closely you're working with Adam Beechin and the others on Batman Beyond Unlimited with your work in the Beyondiverse.
The Batman Beyond obviously started way before, because Adam was actually doing it before the New 52. He was doing a Batman Beyond book that was really, really good, and so he was already set to kind of continue that on in the New 52, and then Dustin and the guy and everybody at the Justice League Beyond, they started as well. I came on, basically just talking to Kwanzaa Johnson, the editor, and Ben Abernathy over there in the digital department. I've known Ben for a while, and got to meet Kwanzaa, and they basically in a conversation asked me if I'd be interested in doing Superman Beyond, and it was a really easy decision to make in terms that I wanted to do it. I had to kind of walk away from Green Arrow in order to do it, which was a little hard because I've been writing Green Arrow for a couple of years, but I couldn't pass up the chance to not only write Superman, who I've never really written before, but also be able to kind of play around in the Beyond universe, which is it's just a fun place to kind of play with the characters, because it's the characters we all know and love, and they're iconic, and there's still everything we know and love about them, but the the environment in the universe is a little different, and so you can kind of just play outside the box, so to speak.
Yeah, and to my recollection, I don't think you've really done a lot of Superman work before, right? Like, I mean, is it kind of tough to jump, both feet in? Now you're writing older Superman in the Beyond universe, having not done a lot with Superman.
It is interesting. I've literally, I think, if I remember correctly, I wrote one scene with him, and he didn't even have a line in it. It was during the fall. It was during the fall of Green Arrow, and he's sitting in the audience, in the benches with the other spectators. And he's as Clark Kent, he's in his disguise, and Green Arrow just kind of is acknowledging his presence and thinking and basically whispers to himself, oh yeah, sure, now you show up, because Green Arrow City had gotten pretty much destroyed in the Cry for Justice, and so, but literally I think that was the only time I'd written Superman, so I didn't even have him saying anything when I wrote him. So
it's funny you mentioned that. That's actually my favorite drawing, my favorite scene in Fall of Green Arrow, because there's that great moment where you see the whole spread of the Justice League, and they're in their street clothes, but then you see their superhero clothes underneath it. That was so cool.
Funny story. Actually it was drawn wrong originally, and they were in costume, and then they said, well, we'll fix it. And I'm like, okay. And they came up with the fix it. And it actually is such a great moment to show it like that, because I wanted them in their street clothes, because I wanted them to be kind of there, but not there for him, so to speak.
I can't believe that came by accident, because I thought it was genius.
No, I wish it was. I wish I could take credit for it or whatever. But it was just one of those. It was serendipity. What can I say? Just kind of happened, and yeah, it's actually one of my favorite sequences in the whole story. Like, one of my favorite scenes is just that moment. But getting back to your point, it's funny. The thing that really kind of prepared me, I guess, in a way to tackle something like this was writing Captain Atom. Because when I was putting that book together and thinking about Captain Atom and what we're going to be doing with him, I really used Superman as a counterpoint for Captain Atom, because with Captain Atom you have a person with unbelievable powers. He's a normal person, but yet because of his appearance and his powers, he's treated like an alien, and he's ostracized, and people think he's dangerous and a weapon, or unstable. So everything about who he becomes, it creates barriers between him and the rest of humanity. On the flip side, you have Superman, who is literally an alien from another planet, who also has amazing powers, but is embraced by society and is held up as some sort of ideal for all of society and all of mankind to strive to be like. And I would like the dichotomy there, where it's like you kind of so I actually had been thinking about Superman in writing Captain Atom, and because it's the Beyond universe, I get to kind of hit a similar chord a little bit, because I was talking to someone at one of the shows, and they were saying that, they don't really like to read Superman because he's so perfect, and I'm like, well, that's kind of the fun about this book, is that it is tricky to write Superman, because it's not only that he's super powerful, but it's also that he's so upstanding, and there's no bending of his moral fiber. Like, he never struggles. Like everybody, like knowing the right thing to do is a huge thing in and of itself, and always taking that moral high ground and knowing what the right decision to do is, and being able to always make those decisions and do the right thing is what's difficult. But it's never difficult for him. He always does the right thing, and it always comes easy for him in order to, like, there's never that internal strife or conflict about being able to do the right thing or being able to do this or that or stand up for the right thing. He just does it. It's just his nature, which I wish everybody was like that. I wish I was like that more. And
that's the reason the character endures.
Exactly. He is the ideal. He's Superman. He is he represents the best that humanity can offer. The very best version of ourselves is what Superman is. And so in the Beyond universe, what we're playing with is he doesn't have everything anymore. Clark Kent the Clark Kent persona in life is kind of non-existent because Lois Lane is dead. All the people he knew in his life, all the people closest to him are gone. He's not working at the Daily Planet. The paper's gone. A lot of the villains are even gone, and he's been removed from Metropolis and from Earth for a while. So he's not really sure of his place. And if not only does Metropolis need him anymore, but does he need Metropolis anymore? And it's almost harkening back to that, like the Lois Lane story. Does the world need a Superman type thing? The world doesn't need Superman, or why the world needs Superman, why the world doesn't need Superman, and that's kind of what he's grappling with a little bit as we kind of run across him in the beginning of his story.
Which also I would figure would be pretty interesting, since there's this question of whether or not the world needs Superman, but he's got to be Superman all the time now, unless you're giving him another persona, which I don't know if you are, or if you can tell me that, but not being Clark Kent anymore, I would figure he's just Superman all the time.
Well, he still is. I mean, technically Clark Kent, you could say, is still alive because there are people that are older and then around. So, but kind of like Bruce Wayne is still alive, in that sense, But it's more a sense of like he's got no place. Like there's nobody in Clark Kent's life. That Clark Kent existence, like it's not like he's living as Clark Kent in an apartment, and going out and getting his coffee and walking the streets. Like he does it a little bit, but like it's mostly him almost being like a lot of times when I would talk about him, I almost refer to him as Kal-El as opposed to Clark Kent, because he's really regressed into that role. In terms of hanging out more at the Forces of Solitude, being more removed from Metropolis, not really going into the Clark persona as much. And even the costume, the costume is very alienating and off-putting. Like he's even kind of retired the Superman costume, and so that symbol that he was almost no longer exists because he doesn't even use that costume anymore. So he's really kind of pulling away from everything that he used to be about.
Now, does the Beyond Superman age at the regular rate that humans do? Because he's certainly drawn that way.
No, I don't think so. I look at him as that, because of who he is and because of the powers he has and the power from the Yellow Sun, that he is able to maintain a more youthful appearance. But I think it's also one of those things that's kind of by design, where it's a matter of allowing himself to age or allowing his cells to age in order to better fit in with society and kind of pass for human, so that you can see Clark Kent aging over the years as opposed to him looking like he's 30, 32 and feeling fine all the time.
Sure, yeah, because the first time I ever saw him with the gray in his hair, I was like, wait a minute, I thought Superman didn't age, so I was wondering about that.
Yeah. That little Mr. Fantastic kind of thing on the side there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I've seen him drawn where it looks like he has a little bit of wrinkles, but I never knew if he really was supposed to, or if that was just an artist embellishment, or what exactly.
No, he was. And if you look at it, like a lot of times, like when he's drawn, especially like in the Superman Beyond Zero issue they did, DeFalco did, like you can see like he's supposed to look old, but not quite as old as Bruce Wayne, because Bruce Wayne is just like old. I mean, he's old. He's like old Bruce Wayne is, and super. So
he's decrepit. He's Kingdom Come Bruce Wayne, where he needs a metal skeleton to keep him alive.
He's like something between William Dafoe and the Crypt Keeper. It's like he's just, no offense to William Dafoe, you're an amazing actor, but William Dafoe's got that real sharp kind of bony tone to him, and you kind of combine with the Crypt Keeper and.
Are you kidding? That's why he's famous. Well, JT, are you ready to jump into the ever ominous comic book grill?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. Speaking of Superman Beyond, is Superman going to have his own rogues gallery at all, and will we see any familiar faces from his past?
A little of both. Like I said, a lot of the people are gone. Like, for instance, Lex Luthor's dead, which is unfortunate because obviously he's his main nemesis.
And they did that recently.
Yeah, the quintessential nemesis form. But you are going to see some new villains, and you are going to see kind of a few familiar faces and some nods to kind of what's come before. So again, that's one of the beauties of playing the Beyond universe is you kind of get to kind of play around with all these notions and the iconic characters and the villains and whatnot, and kind of bring some new people into the fold, but also kind of add your little homages, if you will, or nods to what's come before. So we've got some really cool stuff planned. Like we introduced a new villain in the first issue that, you know, it will be the major one of the major foes, you know, for the story, and it just goes from there. So that's been really fun.
I always get excited about new villains because we don't get as many of them these days as we used to. It seems like everybody has the one they want to use. So whenever somebody brings up something new, I'm like, yes, new villains.
Yeah, it's tricky because, you know, it's funny. When I wrote Teen Titans, you know, that was one of the things I wanted to do was bring in new villains because specifically with the Teen Titans, like there was this notion where it seemed like all the Teen Titans villains that came after them were villains that had a bone to pick with Teen Titans as a quote concept and as a term, but they didn't really have any connection to those individual Titans on the team. So one of the things I tried to do was I wanted to create villains and bring them into the fold that had bones to pick specifically with the members of the Titans that were there. You know, it's kind of like, you know, with like, if you look over across if you look at like a Marvel, if you look at like the X-Men, you know, with the mutants, it's pretty easy. You can bring these new villains in because if they hate mutants, they hate the X-Men. So it kind of plays that way. But having someone who just hates the Teen Titans because they hate teenage heroes, it just doesn't have the same, or the Teen Titans in general have wronged me in the past and I'm going to destroy them. It's like, well, wait a minute, you don't know any of these people on this team I got. What do you care?
And it seems weird that would be a personal grudge all the time. I gotta kill these teenagers.
Right. You know,
maybe once.
It's kind of like your sports grudges, but I guess even those die off. Like if all the people you hate on a team, I'll use hockey as an example because it's the one sport I actually love to watch. I used to hate the Colorado Avalanche, you know, because they had a lot of guys on the team that I couldn't stand because they would always play really good against the Red Wings or the LA Kings, and then when you had, you know, when Patrick Waugh and Claude Lemieux and you know the other guys, and then when they retired and they left, it's like now all of a sudden there's guys on the team that, you know, I watch from other teams, and so you just don't have the same animosity towards them as you did before.
Question number 2. You have kind of a unique position in that you've worked on 3 entirely different runs of Green Arrow, and kind of all different takes on the character. And out of all of the Green Arrow you've done, what would you say is your greatest contribution to the character?
My greatest contribution to the character. Well, I kind of look at it as 2 runs. For me, there's not a lot of space between the Fall of Green Arrow and Brightest Day. It was actually all kind of part of one long arc for me. And being able to take a character through his absolute lowest points, strip him away of everything, lose his identity, lose his friends, lose his family, and he puts himself into a sense of self-exile. Because he doesn't feel worthy anymore. He doesn't feel like a hero anymore. He feels like he failed and he needs to atone for things. That to me will always be special to me. I really was really happy with both the Fall of Green Arrow and especially the Brightest Day run. I just felt like it really was the kind of story I wanted to tell. And Oliver Queen's one of my favorite characters because he's flawed, and having a character who's just a normal guy trying to kind of make up for the mistakes in his past, and as he's continually kind of haunted by them, because look, we all make mistakes in our lives and we get over them and we move on, but they don't really ever leave us. I mean, you kind of, like, I bet if you did anything really stupid or dumb or mean to somebody when you were in, say, junior high, I bet you still remember it. I bet you remember what you did, you remember what you said, or if you got in a fight you shouldn't have gotten in a fight, or you called someone a name you shouldn't have, or if, it's like,
Sure. Yeah.
I to this day, I'll never forget when I'd first come out to Los Angeles, I went to visit somebody on one of the studio lots, and I was a PA, and I parked my car, and there was a guy watching. He's like, "Oh, you can't park there," and I was like, "I'll only be there a second." I'm only going in to say hi. I'll be like a few minutes. He says, all right. He goes, but just, you got to be out in a minute because this is, it was like some executive's parking spot. So I went in and I got sidetracked. I finally tracked down my buddy. I was talking to him. He was showing me around the set. It was really cool, blah, 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 blah. And all of a sudden, like, all hell broke loose because my car was in this spot and one of the executives or one of the producers was coming by. And so I went running out and the guy was just furious at me. He was like, just get out of here, just get out of here. I'm like, I'm sorry, I was on here. And I just knew that he got his ass chewed out, and I got him in trouble, and it wasn't through any fault of my own, but still, like, I remember that story, and that was 15 years ago.
Well, I just wanted to compliment you on that first issue of the Brightest Day run, because that stands up to any Green Arrow I ever read. I thought it was fantastic.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate that. It's funny because when I took over when I did the Brightest Day run, like, for me, I went and read and reread all the Grell stuff that I had and found everything I could that I didn't have, and I had a bunch of it already. So, but I really wanted to kind of do Grell type Green Arrow stories planted in the DC universe, and the Brightest Day stuff kind of gave it more of a mystical quality to it. But the anticipation was always to kind of tell more grounded stories for Green Arrow. I mean, we kind of got a little bit of that with the Queen and with Nyx, and coming out of Brightest Day, the plan was always to kind of have this kind of next, the next chapter in that adventure was going to be, Green Arrow back in the city and dealing with threats to Star City, but still significant villain threats, but in a more kind of urban setting, in a more street level environment. And it just, because of the New 52 and kind of this new direction that they wanted to go in, and that the kind of the story kind of pivoted and making them younger, and kind of as everything that came out of the New 52, like, we weren't able to really kind of continue as along. So,
were you kind of disappointed about that, or were you on board with it?
A little of both. I mean, initially I was a little frustrated because I had these plans, like, I was actually, the Queen was this long, I had a long story plan for the Queen and who she was and her, even bigger connections to Oliver Queen and what he was going to be going through. And then I had because I was really playing up the Robin Hood motif. I had kind of a Sheriff of Nottingham character that was going to be coming into the fold that was going to be a thorn in the side of Green Arrow. I also had a character called Black Arrow that I was going to be introducing. I wanted to I was going to have the Question was going to come to town because I love the Question. A Question Green Arrow story. I mean, being able to do Green Lantern and Green Arrow was great in the second issue, but I really wanted to do a Question Green Arrow story because I think those two characters work so well together, especially.
I didn't feel like the Question got nearly enough to do when they changed it over to Renee.
Yeah. I mean, I like what Greg was doing, but it's just it was kind of like where to find, where I think there's a place. I mean, I personally would love to do a Question book. It's the one I keep pestering DC to do, but they're not. There's no room for me there to do that apparently this time. So, but I'd love to do it. Like if it ever came up. I mean, the questions and truth be told, when I was preparing to take over Green Arrow and I was reading all the Green Arrow stuff and reading all the Denny O'Neil stuff, the Mark Grell stuff, I actually went back and started reading some of the Denny O'Neil Question books because that had the same tone and the same kind of just feel that I wanted to go for with my Green Arrow run.
I've been wondering since the New 52 if the Question even still exists or is around, and I wonder if they have a plan for that.
It's possible they do. I don't know. All I know is I've mentioned it to everybody I can. I mention it to. I'll say I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you got planned, but I'm just letting you know that I would love to do a Question book if it happens. So, and that's kind of leave it. And I've told several editors, and I've made my passion for the Question duly noted. And so hopefully, if they ever decide to do something with the Question, hopefully I'd have a shot at doing it. But, it's just great. It's funny when I did the Flashpoint miniseries, The Dead Man and the Flying Graysons, basically the two characters.
Which was fantastic, by the way.
Thanks.
Loved it.
Thanks. But, the two characters I've wanted to write the most, I got to throw into a little, the cameos right at the end, like when Britannia comes to rescue Dick Grayson at the very end, there's two other members of the Resistance, and the two members are Kid Devil and the Question. So, I mean, that was like my one chance to like kind of slip them in there. So,
yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, my partner on the channel, Vince, is a huge Question fan. He has certain characters he collects everything of, and I think he has every appearance of the Question now. And so if you ever get to do that, consider at least 2 people on your full list.
All right.
I would love to see that happen. Question number 3: how did you go from working in television to writing comic books?
Let's see. I moved to California and I got a job in production. on the Seinfeld show, and I started as a PA, and I worked there for about 2.5 years. I finished out the show. When it ended its 9th season, I was a production coordinator, and the whole time I wanted to move out to LA was to write. But working in production, if anybody's worked in production before, the one thing about it is the hours are excruciatingly long, averaging 12, 14 hours a day. And when you're the PA, you would work all day till like 7 or 8 at night, then be able to go home for a bit. But then the writers would do rewriting, and then the writers would be done with the rewriting, and then the script coordinator and the writer's assistant would have to clean that script up and get the new draft ready. And then you'd get called back to the office around 11 o'clock at night in order to make copies and then deliver scripts to the cast members at their homes late at night. And that would take, depending on when the writers got done, you might not even get out the door to start delivering scripts till after midnight, which means you're not getting home to sleep until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And then you have to be back to work at 9 a.m. the following morning. So during production, there wasn't a lot of time to do any writing. And when the show ended, I had a choice to make. I could either have continued in production and gone on and been a production coordinator on another show, or I could make a change and try to focus more on the writing. And so I actually took a demotion, not a demotion, but I kind of left one track. I became a producer's assistant for an producer that had an overall deal at Disney. His name's Dave Mandel, and he was a Seinfeld producer. And then when the show ended, he had a development deal at Disney, so he was looking for someone to just kind of be his assistant and help him out. And I took the job. It was very different. Like, it was much more of a much more low key position. It was perfect because it was a job, and and I was still involved in television and seeing the parts of the development process of television, which was a tremendous learning experience for me. But it also gave me time to write, and so then I would just I was writing spec screenplays, and I was writing spec drama and comedy specs, and just trying to get staffed up and whatnot, and wrote a lot of stuff, and met a lot of great people, had a lot of great contacts, but just couldn't crack that nut and get that first job. And then a friend of mine was actually working in animation at the time on like Scooby-Doo and whatnot, and he was in touch with a liaison for Marvel who was looking for stories and looking for entertainment writers to do Marvel stuff. It was a very brief window of opportunity when they were actually kind of courting people or looking for material, so to speak, or looking for new writers. And my friend wasn't really a big comic book person, and so he would call me up and be like, hey, they want me to pitch a story on Deathlock. And he would know nothing about Deathlock. So I would basically, being a comic book reader from the age of 8, I would tell him all about Deathlock and why he was cool and what he could do.
Wow, cool.
And this happened like 5 or 6 times. And finally he just told me, like, he goes, yeah, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not into it. Comics aren't my thing. And I said, well, look, if you don't mind, I would love a shot at doing this. If you could pass my name along to him, I'd just love to be able to see if I could submit to him. And so my friend passed the information along. The liaison was named Josh Ryan, and I started writing 11-page sample scripts for Marvel characters for their X-Men Unlimited line, and they were actually possibly going to do an Avengers Unlimited line at the time. So I actually did a few Avengers short stories, and I just 11-page stories. I would just write it up, send it to him, and he would just read it. And then I did like 7 of them, and then he finally called me back and said that, hey, I really liked the first one you did. I sent it on to Marvel, and they want to buy it. They want to do it. And I got to get into X-Men Unlimited #1 with the story I did. And then when I turned that in, they said, well, do you want to do one for Spider-Man Unlimited too? And so I did that one right about 3 weeks later, and then those 2 books came out the following spring. That was the fall of 2003, and so in the following spring, right when those came out, I met Mike Turner and Frank Mastromouro, the guys at Aspen, and they were looking, and I was recommended by a friend, by Jeff Johns actually, who's an old friend of mine from college.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
very cool.
Yeah. So he mentioned me to them because they were looking for a local writer to help them out with Dawn of War, and I met him, and it was just perfect timing because not only getting recommended by Jeff, but I actually had work to show for them, and I think it helped that I had work from the other company and not from not from DC, that I had showed that like it's not just I had more to show than just Jeff saying that they should hire me or at least talk to me. So I was able to give them an X-Men story and a Spider-Man story that had just come out that month, and so it just put that extra level of I guess what do you want to call it? I don't even know. I'm a writer and I can't think of the word right now. Legitimacy, if you will. So they saw that I was actually published and I was working with Marvel, so that helped. And Aspen really is the one who really got me on the map. I mean, they took a chance on me with Dawn of War, and then within 3 months, I was writing Fathom. I was helping out with Soulfire. I was doing 2 offshoot miniseries for both of those books. So I wrote those 2 short Marvel short stories, and then 8 months later, I was writing 4 titles a month for Aspen. So. And then I've met everybody through there. I mean, it was because of my Aspen work and because of Aspen's relationship with DC that I got to know, Adam Schleigman and Eddie Berganza and Dan DiDio and all of them. And that's kind of just, talking with them and meeting them and getting to know them and just talking to them about stuff. And just that's how I kind of got my foot in the door at DC. I actually just sent a blind submission to Dan about a Dr. Midnight book because I really like Dr. Midnight, and they weren't doing anything with them. And so I had an idea for a miniseries, so I sent him a pitch. And again, it's one of those weird things where sometimes you have to just rely on the luck because luck goes a long way, and a lot of times it's timing, and luck means a lot in any career, in any endeavor. And it turned out that Mike Martz was looking for a Dr. Midnight story for Justice Society of America, JSA Classified. And so he was like, hey, I can't use this miniseries, but can you do a 2-parter for me? And that was my first work at DC. And so Mike Martz gave me my first break at DC Comics.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
And you're not exclusive to DC still, right? Like, are you still doing things for Aspen?
I'm still being able to do a little bit of stuff for Aspen. I am exclusive with DC.
Okay.
But DC was.
I wondered about that because I knew you were doing so many books, and it seemed like most of the people I knew who had that many projects were exclusive to a company.
Yeah. I've been exclusive to DC for a while now. But because of the close relationship that Aspen and DC have, I mean, they've worked on all their big stuff. And when Mike was around and after Mike was gone, they were still doing. I mean, like Peter colored all of Brightest Day. Peter, helped work with Dave Finch on some of the Batman stuff, and he's always, and so they've just got a really good working relationship. And so they were very nice. They were very gracious, and nice to let me continue on doing the Soulfire book because I've been writing Soulfire since 2004. I've been writing it off and on for 2004, and I've written almost everything that's Soulfire I've written for the Aspen Studios. Other than a terrific Shadow Magic miniseries that Vince Hernandez wrote and a couple one-shots here and there, I've pretty much written everything in the Soulfire universe. And so it's a special book to me. And so being able to continue doing that, I was really happy that DC let me do that because that was really cool of them.
Well, question number 4, completely unrelated to all of that. Having worked on Seinfeld, do you have a favorite episode?
Oh, wow. The contest is a great episode. Obviously, that's, I think, the classic where they'll make the contest to see who can hold out the longest without clearing the pipes, so to speak, and take care of themselves. That was probably one of my favorites. As far as a favorite one that I worked on the show, God, no one's ever asked me that before. I'm trying to think.
I just thought it was very, very interesting that you started in television and went to comics. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like I said, the contest is one of my favorite ones before I came on, and the Soup Nazi is obviously a fantastic one.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. It's like they all blur together now. It's been so long since I've seen. I'm actually in the finale very briefly.
Oh, are you really?
I've got a little cameo. So that's probably my favorite is the finale just because I'm in it. So I'd have to say that one, right? I mean, that would make sense. I'm George Steinbrenner's valet. I come in and pick up his bag as he runs out the office to go to the trial. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah, it worked out great because most of the crew, because whenever anybody from this show who worked on the show wanted to do be an extra in the coffee shop or whatever, the rest of the crew would just give them nonstop. They would just you're an actor now, it's just and they would just rib you, the camera guys, the sound guys, the grips, all that, and which they should, absolutely should. I don't begrudge them. And so when I did my part, it was at the end of the night. It was only a 1-camera shot, so there was only, instead of being 3 cameramen and 3 camera assistants and 3 dolly operators and 3 sets of everything, there was only 1 camera. So there was only 10 people on the set as opposed to 45 people on the set. So the ribbing was at a minimum. So, and I got pretty good coverage. It's just me walking into the doorway for a second. So.
Is that the only time you've ever been on television?
No, funny enough, years later, the Curb Your Enthusiasm, the producer I worked for, David Mandel, he was an executive producer on Curb Your Enthusiasm. And when Curb Your Enthusiasm did the season with the Seinfeld reunion, they actually did the table read episode, and they actually invited a lot of the people who worked on the show to kind of play themselves in the table read episode. So I actually was hanging out with the script coordinator, George Doty, who is a really good friend of mine, my old boss, Nancy Sproul, my old boss, Susie Greenberg, the editors, old directors from the show, the first AD, and the first AD who's doing the table read and like the narrating of the table read, his name's Randy Carter, and he was the actual first AD, and what he does in the show is exactly what he used to do on the Seinfeld show as his job. And so it was like this quasi little, as much as it was a reunion on camera for the actors, it was another reunion behind the scenes for all of us to be able to kind of go there, see the set again rebuilt. It was pretty cool.
Well, last question. When the New 52 started, you seemed to be one of the only writers that they kept on the same book you were already on, and I was wondering if you had any idea why they kept you on Green Arrow, and if you had any part of the decision making to take Captain Atom.
I don't know why they kept me on Green Arrow.
Because wasn't it pretty much just you and Snyder on Batman? That was about it. And I mean, that was even to a different title. But I mean, like, it seemed like everybody else got different assignments on entirely different books.
Yeah. I think me and Scott and Jeff sticking with Green Lantern. I think.
Forgot
I think that was probably. I'm trying to think. That might have been Pete Tomasi. He was doing Batman and Robin before, I think. Or he was doing a Batman book.
That's true, and actually I think David Finch was still on Dark Knight, right?
Yeah, he was still on Dark Knight. So some of those, and I will say this: I think mine was the one that saw the most changes, because I think that what Jeff, and especially like the Bat universe and the Green Lantern universes were the ones that were the least changed or tweaked through the New 52.
I think Green Lantern stayed in a total bubble.
Yeah, that first issue. I mean, those things they just kind of carried on. Maybe not like the Red Lantern ones, but the main books like Green Lantern and kind of the Green Lantern Corps, like those kind of, especially Green Lantern. I mean, that kind of just kind of went intact. Yeah, I mean, Green Arrow was one of those ones that just had a lot of changes to it. Because of what they were doing and because of the making him younger and giving him his secret identity back, and the whole tone of the book was different. I mean, it's a fun book. It's just completely different from what it was,
Yeah.
And so, like I said, when I got the offer to do Superman Beyond, and it was, which one do you want to stick with, Captain Atom or Green Arrow? Like, part of me leaving was because I was having such a great time on Captain Atom, but also part of me was because I liked what I was doing with Green Arrow, but I saw the end sooner anyway, just because that type of book and the tone and whatnot, like that more lighthearted kind of James Bondy kind of, and it was even like a light James Bond, it wasn't, I won't say it was Roger Moore James Bond, but it was in that kind of, in that wheelhouse. It was just a different book tonally, than what I was doing before. As far as Captain Atom goes, I actually pitched another book, and they didn't have me do that one, but I think the pitch I did for the character was pretty different, and it had a kind of a science fiction bent to it, and so then they asked me about Captain Atom, and
can you tell me what the character was?
It was Supergirl.
Oh, really? Okay,
yeah,
cool.
And I just had it was cool. It was a different type of take on her, and what the book would be about. And
although the run they're doing is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read it, but
no, absolutely, yeah, I know.
I love it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I know Mike Johnson actually, and the art's amazing too. I think it's a great looking book. It's a fun book. So Supergirl's in good hands, because it was, Sterling did a great job, and now Mike and Michael are doing a great job with Supergirl. So it's gonna. But the take I had on it was a little different, and so it's funny because I pitched that and sent them like the stuff, and we talked about it, and like yeah, and then they called me back and they're like, and I actually thought they were calling me back to say, like, okay, so Supergirl, and they said, well, hey, what do you think about Captain Atom? And I said, oh, okay, and I was like, all right, well, let me kind of wrap my head around what that would be, and luckily, it's like Captain Atom had been in the forefront of Generations Lost, which was probably one of my favorite Brightest Day books. I think I really like what Judd Winnick did in that book. It was just a fun romp with all those characters and stuff. But I also knew that they were looking for something a little different with Captain Atom, and they wanted to kind of play up a little bit of the Dr. Manhattan vibe. So that was kind of like the tweak they were looking for in terms of, and what they told me as far as like when I was thinking about the character. And then I had a talk with Freddie, and I got on the phone, Freddie Williams, and we just talked for hours. We talked for like 3.5 hours that first night, and literally the stuff we talked about that first night is a lot of it is what you're seeing on the page now, and a lot of it is exactly what we talked about is what's happening in the arc I'm working on. The arc going from 7 to 10, and then it's not in the stuff I just wrote issue 11 this week. And that's like the first one where the story's a little newer, but like the first like 10 issues was mapped out like on that first conversation, roughly, not like verbatim, but like, the big points about what we're going to do and what we wanted the book to be. And it's just been great. I haven't worked this closely with an artist and had this much of a collaborative working environment since I worked with Mike on Soulfire. So it's been great. I really, it's one of the best things. It's one of the things I'm most proud of that I've done at DC is Captain Atom.
Well, JT, do you know when Superman Beyond drops?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask this question. In print, it's going to be in May. It's going to be the first part of Superman Beyond will be in issue 3 of Batman Beyond Unlimited.
And is it one of those that hits digital before?
It hits digital before, and I'm not sure about the week, but I believe it hits in April digitally, the first part. And then I could be wrong because it's a new. They're doing like this new release schedule with like the digital and the print, but I believe you'll see the first chapter, the first 10 pages digitally in April, the second chapter, the second 10 pages in May, and then you'll also see the print version in May. So you'll see Boom Boom, and then I think the 20 pages it'll be 20 pages of Superman Beyond in that issue 3 when it comes out. And
then is it going to be its own book after that, or is it going to stay in Unlimited?
I don't know. I don't know if I think if this works for him in the release format, I kind of like the book being packaged together because it makes the Beyond universe bigger. It makes it all kind of like it's almost like an anthology book of the Beyond universe.
Well, and as a consumer, I like that I don't have to buy 3 books.
Right, and I think
there's that. I love that. I mean, it's 40 right now. It's 48 pages for $3.99. You can't beat that anywhere. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So I think it'll be good. And I just found out today. Adam was put a Facebook thing on it that the first issue sold out and is going to a second printing for Batman Beyond #1. So
awesome.
Yeah. So
I heard it from a lot of stores that people were having a hard time getting it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited. I mean, it's just funny. I'm just so glad to be able to talk about it because I started working on this a long time ago, and then they just held off the announcement of it, and then I was just like, I think I had issues 2 and maybe even 3 done before they announced it. I was like, okay, let me talk about it, please, because people are asking me what I'm doing, and I want to talk about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, as soon as we heard that you were off Green Arrow, it's like, well, where's he going? He's got to be doing something else.
Yeah, and so for the longest time, it was just like, well, what's the other book? And I'm like, it's pretty cool. So
it's awesome.
Yeah, it's and the book looks great. I just saw colors for the first issue. Howard Porter's doing the art on it, and it looks fantastic. So,
well, JT, thanks a ton for being on the program.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Everybody be sure to check out Superman Beyond when it comes out. Keep buying Batman Beyond because, man, it's fantastic. And I can't believe that Ray Fogel's doing that, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks again for being on. Sure appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
And now, a message.
Power Glow Mask sold separately.
Now it's time for the results of the poll. It looks like 8 people say no, the new Ninja Turtles movie is going to be terrible. 3 people say yes. Yeah, well done, English major. 3 people say yes, it could be good, and 2 say maybe. Now, let's go on to today's obscure character of the week. Today's obscure character of the week is brought to you by Superheroes Girlfriends. They only have one job, but it's an important one. Provide somebody for villains to kidnap. And where would we be without that? Have you ever heard of High Rise. This is a really obscure Green Arrow villain. As far as I know, he's only had like one appearance. I couldn't really find anything else. He debuted in Green Arrow number 46 in 2005. He was created by Judd Winnick and Tom Fowler. He's a villain with cybernetic legs that let him grow to the height of a building. That's what he does. And he can shoot some energy bursts from his gauntlets. So he was hired by Brick as a security guard, and then when confronted by Green Arrow and Speedy, he started talking like he was already a major supervillain, and then Speedy just beat him with a glue arrow. The end. That's High Rise. That's all. Beautiful. That's all you need to know. There's today's Obscure Character of the Week. Hey, if you have an idea for Obscure Character of the Week, or some fan art you'd like to send, any suggestions you have for the show, anything cool like that, you can always send it to Geekvolution. Personal message me at Geekvolution. I'd love to hear from you. You can also go to wearegeeksnotnerds.com. You can find me there. And if you have anything you'd like to send us to review, you can send it to Geekvolution, P.O. Box 14183, Lenexa, Kansas 66285. And now it's time to find out what I've pulled from the ever ominous, monstrous, gigantic comic book vault. Today on the Comic Book Vault, we're going to be taking a look at this comic. This is Green Lantern, Green Arrow. Let me get the number here. 109 from 1978. This was written by Denny O'Neil. This kind of a fun comic. Part of the reason I wanted to pull this, by the way, is because this guy on the front, the villain in this is like the second part of a two-parter, but it stands pretty well on its own. This bad guy they're fighting on the front is called a Replicon. And if you look kind of closely at him, he looks suspiciously like the Azrael Batman from the mid-90s. When I first got this, that's part of the reason I bought it, because I was like, why does that guy look like Azrael Batman? It's 1978. That costume design doesn't exist. But it looks a little bit like him, and I thought it was weird, so I bought it. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything, because he's not related to Batman in any way, shape, or form. In fact, this Replicon guy is this alien who is living on an asteroid that came close to Earth, and he decided that he didn't like living on an asteroid, and he wanted He wanted to find a place for to raise his kids, and so he goes to Earth. But the problem is they can't really live all that well on Earth, because they need a different kind of atmosphere. So he decides to poison the Earth's atmosphere and ruin the entire planet so that he and his kids can live there.
That's selfish.
That's Replicon. So this Replicon guy, as you can probably tell by his name, is able to turn into different people. He can make himself look like different things. And he's dating the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern's girlfriend. Or I guess it was his girlfriend. I'm not real sure what's really going on with that, because I haven't read anything around this issue. But anyway, basically it's this kind of love triangle thing. Green Lantern and Green Arrow have already figured out that this Replicon guy is a bad guy, and that he's trying to mess up the Earth. And but of course he can't convince his girlfriend of all of that, because she's this naive, typical late 70s girl, basically. And
gorgeous.
Of course. So basically, Green Lantern and Green Arrow team up. They fight this Replicon guy, and he's able to shapeshift to go through pretty much anything they can throw at him. So Green Arrow gets all cocky, and he's like, I can make an arrow that can stop that. And I'm not real sure, I don't think I got a good picture of it in here, but he's got like this arrow that he's going to shoot at him that looks a lot like a stoplight at the end of an arrow. And I don't know what he thinks he's going to do with that, but anyway, whatever it was supposed to be, it doesn't work. And so Green Lantern's all like, well, your problem is that you're too cocky, and we'll try this other thing. And ultimately, they manage to stick this guy basically in a metal container, and they throw him back into space. Because he can't shapeshift through metal. Good thing they figured that out. And so then they had this really amusing moment where Green Lantern's like, hey, it's not rocket science. This guy must have come from this asteroid that's hurtling toward the Earth. So they put him back on the asteroid, and they tell him, really sorry we couldn't accommodate you by all dying so you could live on the Earth, but, you're going to have to stay here on this asteroid. Anyway, that's pretty much the comic. And then at the end, Green Lantern's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend or what have you is complaining that he broke her and this Replicon guy up, and he's like, well, turned out it was a space alien, and she's like, I know, but I still hate you. So
really?
yeah, she was very badly written. I thought. I didn't really care for that very much. But
Cameron Diaz could play her.
What did crack me up was there was a moment where Replicon talks really weird and funky, and he usually really broken up English and stuff. And there's this one part where Green Arrow calls him Cookie Monster, and I kind of enjoyed that. So that's today's I almost said obscure comic of the week. It might as well be the obscure comic of the week. Let's go ahead and now find out what the year was for this year's Batmobile. This year's Batmobile was from 2003, and nice. The answer to the trivia question was Connor Hawke. Connor Hawke was the second Green Arrow. And Luke, who got that first, dude?
It was Comics Kid 2099.
Once again, another point for Comics Kid. I should start keeping up. I should start keeping up with this. I think Comics Kid has gotten at least 2, if not 3, of these correct first. Well done, dude.
He is a worthy adversary.
The man knows everything. He knows everything. Yeah, he's great. Anyway, so well done to you. Hey everybody, hope you had a great time on Comic Book Late Night. We sure did. Luke, thanks a lot for being with us, dude.
Jay, thank you very much for having me.
Sure,
appreciate it.
Hope you've had a great time. Everybody, be sure, of course, as always, to support your local comic book store. And remember, if somebody sends you a package with a bunch of green question marks all over it, you probably shouldn't open that right away. I'd like once again to thank my guest tonight, JT Krull, for being on the show. Once again, hope everybody had a great time. We'll see you again in 2 weeks on Comic Book Late Night.